Okay, let's try this again. Okay, welcome to the team call tonight, you guys. Team Spark, our topic is going to be time management. If you have any questions throughout, you can just post in the chat box below. But before we begin, I just want to give a little shout out to those who have rocked their PV this week. Hopefully you've been rocking your PD too. But so Megan Duck is number 1 on the board at 371 PV. Number 2 is Jacqueline Wolosiansky at 357. Ask me how long it took me to pronounce that. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, Jacqueline. Brittany Connolly at 308. And Elizabeth Glandon at 295. So good job, you guys. Way to rock the last week. And let's keep rocking it. We have Team Cup this month. Thank you, Katie, for signing up team for that. And yeah, February, let's do it. So time management. I want to start off with a little quote. I'm going to share my screen here. Let's see. Okay, let's see. There we go. Save the excuses. It's not about having time. It's about making time. If it matters, you will make time. I love this quote because it is so true. Every single one of us on this call, we are all busy, right? So freaking busy. That is like the number one objection I hear when people are afraid to join our team. They think they don't have enough time. And even when people do join our team, they still think, how can I carve out time in my busy day? I'm so busy, busy, busy. Many of us are moms or soon to be mamas. You know, for me personally, I have 3 kids that are home with me for a lot of the day. You know, many of us have husbands or boyfriends. A lot of you guys have full-time jobs that you're doing alongside of coaching. And we're all busy. We get it. But we all have the same amount of time in the day. So if this business is important to you, and I'm assuming that it is because you wouldn't be on this call if you didn't care about this business and didn't want to grow your business, then it's about making the time and about using the time that you do have wisely. So what I'm going to try to do better for you guys is to keep it simple. I want to, in this next month or so, just really break it down, keep it simple, and make it very duplicatable so that it's an easy process for me, for you, and for you to teach your downlines. Because as you continue to grow your business, that's what you guys are going to be doing, is you're going to be teaching them. And we don't want to have some crazy, you know, thing that we all have to do, because guess what? Everyone's going to quit if it takes that much time out of our day, because we don't have that much time. So the number 1 book for PD, if you are struggling with time management, I would say is Eat That Frog. That was the one that helped me the most with time management. It's by Brian Tracy. And a lot of what I'm going to talk to you guys about today is from this book. It's so good, and there's so many good tips there. So first, this means you may need to stop doing some things that you're currently doing, and you may need to say no to some things rather than yes. So think about what your goals are, not just for your business, but in your life. And then think about if what you're doing each day is getting you closer to those goals. And then think about, are these activities in line with those goals? So in the past, I was watching a lot of TV. I used to think I was so busy, but I was pushing like 4 hours of TV a night. I had no kids, and I thought I was the busiest freaking person in the entire world. And there I was, like, watching all my shows every night, like, so busy. And I realized that watching 4 hours of TV a night and every single housewives, like, is not going to get me further in my life goals. So I had to cut a little TV out. It doesn't mean that I never watch TV. but I make sure I do what I need to do before I turn on The Bachelor, or I'm working while I'm watching The Bachelor, or you know what I mean? I'm not just binge watching every show on Netflix that pops up. I love to read. I love to, but Bachelor does bring me joy. So I have not given it up, but you know, you have to prioritize, and The Bachelor is not going to pay my bills for me. So, you know, I also like to read, and in the past I would read a lot of things for fun, and I still read for fun, but now I also read personal development at least 10 minutes a day, and that type of reading is going to get me further towards my goals. So I treat myself with the book maybe at the end of the night or show once I've done all of the things. I'm also, you know, I'm not playing soccer 4 nights a week like I used to. I have kids at home now. So, you know, there are different sacrifices that you make to get yourself closer to where you want to be. For example, I have like a neighbor down my street, and she is like on the PTA, and she is so stressed out trying to run this PTA every week with all these events and all of these things going on, that she's constantly messaging me and other moms in our neighborhood like, help, can you bake this for the bake sale? Can you come to movie night? Like just begging for help because we're the people that she knows in school. And I love her. She's wonderful, and I want to help out, and I care about the school, and I want to do all the things. But if I said yes to every single thing that this woman asked me to do, like I would not get anything else done in my life. So you have to have your boundaries. You know, you can't say yes to everything, and you have to prioritize what's important. So last week on a Friday night, I wasn't planning on working with my business. I was planning on being with my kids and taking them to this movie night. So she asked me to help with the movie night. I said, sure, why not? But today, at the very last minute, I go to pick up my son from school, and she's like, hey, can you bake something for the bake sale tomorrow? And I'm like, you know what? Sorry. Like, I have my team call that I need to run tonight. Like, that is my priority tonight. My kids don't need any more sweets, to be honest. They get sweets all the freaking time. So baking for the bake sale is not, you know, at the end of the day, isn't going to do my kids a service, really. But being on this call with you guys and growing my business is going to help my entire family down the line. So that's just an example of one personal thing that I'm going through at this moment, of having to say no to things. And I am that type of person where I feel guilty telling people no. Like, I'm a yes person. I want to say yes to everybody. I want to help everybody. But like, you just have to set those boundaries and prioritize the things that you need to do each day. Okay. The next thing is, making sure that you're not so caught up in your to-do lists. I love crossing things off, but sometimes if I don't get to everything in my to-do list, I feel that I failed for the day, or I didn't accomplish what I set out to accomplish. But looking back in my past to-do lists, I was putting down like 40 things to do a day. Like, it was just so unrealistic. And then I was looking down at that list at the end of the day feeling like shit, because I was like, damn, I didn't do anything. But that's not true. Like, you can't physically do 40 things. Like, that's just crazy. So make a realistic schedule. I love my planner that I use is the Day Designer, and I really like that because it time blocks it out. So you can write out what you physically can do every single day. I would schedule my workout to checking in with my groups, to when I'm going to listen to my PD, taking my kids to school, when is the babysitter going to be here? I can work on this during that time. Oh, I don't have babysitter today, so this is mom time. You know, whatever it happens to be, and try your best to stick to that schedule. So if you have a full-time job, maybe you work out early to get your workout in, and put that on your calendar for, 5:30 a.m. or whatever time you get up to do that. And put your business hours down, and put the little tasks that you have to do in a realistic time frame. Like, if you are going to send out 40, you want to send out 40 invites, but you only have 20 minutes, it's probably not going to happen. You have to be realistic about the time that you have. One thing that makes it helpful is to just take 10 minutes before you go to bed to prepare for the next day. Because if you're waking up and you're looking at your calendar and you have no idea what the frick you're doing, guess what? When you sit down to do your business hours, you're not going to be that productive. You're going to end up scrolling on Facebook, flicking through Instagram, and not being productive with the time that you have. So if you literally take 10 minutes before you go to bed just to prepare, write down what you need to do, write down 5 people that you need to talk to the following day. That way you can just sit down, look at those 5 people, bang out those invites, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're not scrolling through like, oh gosh, like who am I gonna talk to today? I don't know. Maybe I'll just scroll instead. Like, we all know it happens. So if you plan the night before, just write down those 5 people every single day. Then when you sit down, you're going to be more productive with your time. And the one way to do that is through your tracker sheet. If you have one that you're using, Katie was going to post that in the group. If you don't know what I'm talking about, she'll post it on the team page. And that way you can just write down the names of everybody you even want to talk to for the whole week. And so that you're just ready to go. Maybe you do that on Sunday night or something like that. Okay, the next thing that you can do to be more efficient with your time is chunking things into different categories. For example, I have a list of things that I need to do for my Beachbody business. I have a list of things that I need to do for my blog. I have a list of things I need to do for the kids, the household, and it helps to just kind of break it up so that I'm able to like check, you know, a couple things off from each category each day so that I don't feel so overwhelmed by everything. And I think prioritizing those few things that you need to do to move forward, I like to do a top 3 list and just say, like, if there is nothing else that I do today, I will do these 3 things. And then that way I feel accomplished. I feel like I set out what to do. I mean, I set out a goal and I accomplished that goal. Whereas if I have 40 things on my list and I only check off 3, I'm like, oh, I only checked out 3 of 40. That sucks. But if I set 3 top ones and I hit those 3, then I feel good when I go to sleep and I feel productive. And anything else that I end up checking off is just an added bonus. And then you feel even better because you're like, oh, I did more than I planned on. Keeping a calendar is super important as well. I try to map out all of the things that I have, and for a while, because of the different categories, I was getting so confused. I was forgetting things. I was missing calls. I was missing, you know, show and tell, whatever. So what I ended up doing was I got one of those dry erase magnet calendars that I can slap on. I have like a magnetic door and I can just slap it on the door. So before I walk out the door in the morning, I can see, and then there's a marker for each person in the family. So I can see what my schedule is. I can see what Nico's schedule is, what Zach's schedule is, and what everybody has to do that day so I don't forget anything. And I keep my team calls on there. So like Zach knows when I have a team call, because it's really important to communicate that with your partner too if you have one. And I also, I just lost my train of thought. But I also will map out my, like some of my posts. I'll actually do that more in my day designer calendar, but I'll map out like if I have a team call coming up, I mean, not a team call. If I have a coach open house coming up, I'll have to make sure that I'm scheduling to do a call to action about coaching, or I'm talking about coaching and I'm planning out like when I'm going to do it. So yeah, I know it's so many schedules, and honestly, I don't have it all together and it's really hard. So I had to like post and people gave me tips, and so I'm trying this new calendar thing, and so far it's working and I haven't missed a show and tell since. But anyway, so the calendar, so I mark it out and I try to have like a marketing calendar of the things that are coming up, and I'll write down, you know, the things like the next challenge group is coming up. So I know that 2 weeks before the challenge group starts, okay, I need to start talking in IG stories about my group coming up, and I need to do some shout outs about my challengers results. And so I have a whole other call about how to plan out your month, but using some sort of calendar is super helpful. Okay, the next tip I have is from the book Eat That Frog, and here's a quote from the book. It says, Mark Twain once said that if the first thing you do each morning is to eat a live frog, you can go through the day with the satisfaction of knowing that it was probably the worst thing that's going to happen to you all day long. And I love this because he compares the frog to like the most important task of the day that you dread doing, or that you're likely to procrastinate on doing if you don't do it right away. Because this particular thing can also have the greatest positive impact on your life and results in that moment. If you do or don't do it, it can affect you negatively. If you don't do it, it can affect you positively if you do it. For me, mine is usually my workout. If I skip it in the morning, I'm so much less likely to do it later in the day. Right now, things are a little shifty, so I've been having to shift things around with the baby and sleeping, and like I'm just happy to press play. I don't care what time it is, but normally it was harder for me to do it later in the day because I would come up with excuse after excuse. And it was like dumb stuff like, I don't want to shower again. You know what I mean? And I was just like, so if I do it in the morning, then I know that things are not going to get so crazy. The later it gets, the tired I get, and the more excuses, the more time I have to talk myself out of doing that workout. So I like to do it, as one of my morning activities. Because I know it's going to make my whole day go smoother. So, for you, maybe the frog is your invites. I know that's a frog for a lot of people, and maybe that's the hardest thing for you to get done. So if you wait on it, then you're probably going to, if you wait and wait, then you may skip it. And then, I think that if that's the hard thing for you, then make that the first task that you do when you wake up. 5 invites, boom, done. It's especially easy if, like I said before, if you write down those 5 people the night before, then you don't have to spend a lot of time. Like, it shouldn't take you more than 15 minutes to write 5 invites if you know who you're going to talk to in advance. If you don't know who you're going to talk to in advance, it might take you longer because then you got to search around, figure out what to say. But doing that first thing, getting it done, then you feel so good about the rest of your day, and you're like, I don't have to do anything that I dislike doing for the rest of the day. So I love that tip from Brian Tracy. Was just like that hard thing that you don't want to do, just freaking get it done first thing, and then you're good for the rest of the day. Power hour. So this is something that we do. Most of you guys know what a power hour is. If you don't, it's basically a dedicated hour to your business every day. And I suggest during this power hour, in order to be the most productive with your time, is again, knowing who you're going to talk to, turning off all of your notifications. That can be so hard, I know, but it can also be so distracting since most of us are now working a lot from our phones. We're constantly getting these pop-ups on our phones all the time, and it's so easy to go into squirrel mode and get distracted by all the things popping up. Also, if you're doing like a longer list of invites, maybe you're doing 20 invites and you're busting them out and somebody writes you back, don't stop what you're doing to respond to that person right away. If that person responded to you, they're still going to be there in an hour. But if you stop what you're doing and you start talking to this person, then guess what? Those other 15 people, you're going to be like, oh gosh, my power hour's over and I wasted my whole hour talking to this person. I didn't send out those other 15 invites. I've got caught into that trap so many times because you get excited and you're like, oh, this person's interested. Let me just hurry up before they change their mind. And it's like, no, they're not going to change their mind because you sent out 15 more invites. Like, you can take the time to finish those invites and then you know you're going to go back and talk to that person, but you don't know that you're going to do this routine invite. So finish those and then go back and talk to them. And I guarantee you, you'll probably have 2 or 3 more messages waiting for you to respond to later. So set your timer, do your 15 minutes of invites, 15 follow-ups, check in 15 minutes to your challenge groups and set it for each activity that you have to do, like 5 minutes adding to your network, however you tend to run your power hour, but make sure that it's focused and that you're not distracted with all of the squirrel activity. Sarah, hilarious. Sorry, I'm seeing like some of these comments, but I'll go back through and read them afterwards because I can't squirrel because then I'll get lost. Okay, next thing, I kind of went through this here already. Okay, so the next thing is to make sure that your activities are in line with your goals and plan that in your to-do list. So for example, if one of your main goals is to recruit coaches for your team, then you can't make everything about your workouts. You have to talk about the coaching opportunity on your social media. You have to talk about it in your invites. Like, you have to talk to people about coaching, because if you're not, you're never going to recruit anyone to your team. People have to know that there's an opportunity that they can join. And if you're only talking about your shake and you're only talking about your workout, or you're only talking about your PD, and nobody knows that there's a business opportunity that they can join, you're not going to achieve the goal of growing your team. So make sure that when you have your goals, if your goal is a certain number of income, then you need to know that you need to talk to a certain number of people in order to hit that, because you're, by doing 45 to an hour of PD, that's great, and you're going to be growing yourself, but that's not an income producing activity. Just reading all your PD, like, you have to actually invite somebody to join you in order to grow. So make sure that your activities are in line with your goals. I talked a little bit about this on our Diamond internship, but scheduling posts in advance can be really helpful with time management. If you don't have a lot of time at the end of your busy day, taking some time over the weekend, just kind of sitting down, planning out your challenge group posts, planning out some social media posts of just topics like you want to hit, or stories that you want to tell, and just planning that out. Like, if you know that you're going to be ending the 21-day fix on, March, whatever, then make sure that you're posting about your progress and your results and your experience shortly after you finish that program. Just kind of have a plan of action for that. And you can schedule that in advance. And, you can't schedule the actual results photo, but you know what I'm trying to say. If you know things are coming up, plan for that and put it on your calendar so you know what's coming up and you're not wasting time. Like, well, what do I post today? Okay. This kind of relates to what I was saying before, if somebody's messaging you while you're in the zone of inviting, but this applies to challenge groups and other things as well. Know that you are not on call. Okay. You do not have to respond to everybody right when they message you. You do not have to respond in the challenge group right when somebody posts. You will be in that challenge group all day. You will not have any time to do anything else. You will waste so much time. Okay. Plan out when you are going to message people, when you're going to respond to people. Plan out when you are going to check in with your challenge groups, and try to stick to those hours, because if you don't, you will literally be a slave to your cell phone all day long, and you will not be productive because you're just going to be back and forth and not moving forward. So there are certain times where you will have situations and you will want to keep the conversation going if it's somebody who's very serious, and that's fine, but just don't be a slave. Be very conscious about being a slave to your phone all day long. The challengers and coaches are going to be okay if you can't respond to them right away, especially your coaches on your downline too. If they have questions, that's something that they can probably easily just Google or look up in the FAQs. It's so funny sometimes how, sometimes I haven't even seen the message yet. And by the time I get back to the person, I check my phone again to get back to them. It's like, oh, I've already found the answer, right? And like, how much time did you save? Like, they went and did it themselves. So people are resourceful, and they're not going to quit your team or, drop out of your challenge group because you didn't respond instantly to their message. Okay. So, and I think it also shows people that you have a life. We want to attract people to join our team. And if they're seeing you as a slave to your phone all day, they're going to say, I don't got time for that. She's online all day long. I don't have time to be online all day long. I have a job. I have to do, I have 3 kids. So we have to make this realistic for people. And if, technology is great, but don't let it rule your life. Some other time wasters are just scrolling Facebook. And I know we can get caught in that trap too when we're doing our invites and things like that. That's why I think it's important to write people's names down where you just stick to it, because otherwise you can end up just scrolling and scrolling, and before you know it, 40 minutes have passed and you've wasted them. So Lil, she had a feature, I think, where you could actually turn off your newsfeed for a while so that you couldn't scroll. And she always does that when she's doing invites. So that could be something if you are having trouble focusing during your power hours. Another thing that could be a time waster is like spending 30 minutes or an hour doing like a beautiful, pretty header for your Facebook group, or, you know what I mean? Like, you don't need to have some amazing rock star. Just put a nice graphic up there. It shouldn't take you more than 15 minutes to create something on Canva. And if it does, somebody else on our team probably has one that you can use and would be willing to share it with you. Don't waste time trying to make everything look picture perfect, pretty. Done is better than perfect. Because again, the pretty Canva header is not going to help your ROI. Messaging people and having conversations with people and building relationships with people and inviting people, that is going to have more ROI on your business than spending an hour doing a Canva if you're not into making graphics. Okay. Let's see. Multitasking. So we've talked about this in the past too, I think, but PD is a great place to multitask. So a lot of times I would listen to PD in my car rides, or when I was like putting my makeup on to get ready for the day, or when, if I was, walking somewhere around with the kids and the baby was sleeping in the stroller, I'd pop my earphones in and listen to something. Or when I'm folding laundry at night, instead of, watching Netflix, I would pop on a YouTube video for 30 minutes or something like that. That's a great time to multitask and do those sorts of things. For Facebook posts, taking multiple photos throughout your day and just kind of saving them. So it could be of your food or your kids, or maybe you're out on a hike and you don't always have to post it right away. You can save them for a later time so that you're not interrupting your moment with your time with your family, because that's so precious too. The next thing is to create deadlines for yourself. And I think this is really important. Just creating goals, making, income goals, making vacation goals, making just smaller goals. Just, I want to work out every day this week, or I want to make sure I follow the containers this week, or something like that. And let that kind of drive your day. Always thinking about the best use of your time right now and prioritizing your tasks, which we talked about before. I like the top 3 method. Brian Tracy also talks about the ABCDE method, just being, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, things that are going to make the biggest difference in your life and get you closer to your goals, making sure E, I think, is something that I think you can just cross off your list. Like, it's not doing you any service to your life. And A is something that is going to really bring you to your goals. So just identifying those things and cutting what you need to cut and focusing more on those things that are going to bring you closer to your goals. Another really good tip, I think, is identifying the periods of the day where you have the most physical and mental energy each day and structuring your most important tasks around this time. If you're not a morning person, maybe doing your invites in the morning isn't a good idea because you're going to be groggy and like grumpy and like nobody wants to talk to you when you're grouchy AF. So maybe that is better, you know, whenever you work well. So maybe it's during your lunch break, or maybe it's during, you know, right when you get home, or whatever it happens to be. For me, it used to be, you know, now my schedule is structured a little bit differently, but it used to be for me like 2 to 4, like during nap time, I would sometimes be able to get a double nap. And when two of my older kids were down for a nap, and I would just bust out as many invites and as much of my work that I could get done, or I'd plan team calls during that time, or, you know, things that really took more of my concentration. Whereas late at night after they were in bed, like, you know, by 10 o'clock, I was like too tired to sit down and plan content for a team call or content for my blog or anything like that. My brain was just too foggy to really concentrate. So finding that time and where you have the most energy, and doing your important stuff then. Another tip is to slice and dice tasks. So breaking up larger tasks and bringing it down into bite-sized pieces. So if you have like a ton of follow-ups to do at the end of the month, you know, 50 follow-ups may look really daunting. So maybe you just do 5 a day for the next few days until you get, you know, to 50. And just kind of breaking it down that way so it doesn't seem so overwhelming that you're like, oh, I'll just skip it. Because that's the worst thing you can do. And then ask for help, you know, work with someone else, partner up with somebody else. Gretchen and I have run so many open houses together, and, you know, I'll create the Canva thing and she'll create, you know, a slideshow, and, you know, we'll work together so that we're not all having to do everything ourselves. Or talk to your downline about jumping in on something with you guys. And, you know, maybe you host your own team open house and you have people go live, or, you know, you run your challenge groups together, or you have guest appearances in your challenge groups, or on your team calls or something like that. Ask, you know, if anybody has any ideas for your upcoming challenge groups. Like, our team is so willing to share what we've created. And if you're not a graphics person, like, you don't need to be sitting around creating a challenge group banner for an hour when somebody else may have a perfectly beautiful one already made that you can borrow and use that month. So talk to each other, share ideas, and or like recipes. Like, I don't use a lot of recipes. I'm not a recipe person. I kind of just throw things together with what I know, or, you know, I kind of like whole foods that, you know, like a bowl of something, or eggs, and just different. I love mixing and matching different things, but like, I don't necessarily follow recipes. And so when, you know, people ask me for recipes, I'm like, I'm going to Marion's recipe book. I'm going to Lil's, because I know they like to follow the recipes. And I don't want to sit down all day looking for recipes, because that's not my thing. I like easy stuff. Okay, let's see if there's anything else. We're getting kind of long here, so I want to wrap it up. But basically, you know, all this said, you do want to take some time for yourselves, though. Take vacation. Don't feel guilty about taking a break every now and then, because you also don't want to get burnt out. And, you know, while you're away, maybe ask a coach to post for you while you're away for the weekend, or, you know, take that time that you need with your family, and like make sure that you're not compromising your life. I mean, we do this business so that we can have a life, and a better life, and create more freedom for ourselves, not so that this is our whole life. So remember, like, this is just part of your life, and you know, have the self-discipline to do that hour or 2 hours a day, but don't let it consume you. Okay. I'm going to wrap this up now, and let me just check to see if there are any questions that you guys have. I see a lot in the chat, so I don't know. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, Britt, your PTA situation is like teaching. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I imagine working in the schools, there's always so many things that teachers are asked to do constantly. I know a few of you guys are teachers here. So, building relationships, yes, so important. Wait, what are you talking? What? Oh, okay. The showering thing with that. I'm like, wait, what is that? You guys are hilarious. Awesome. I'm glad the dream team list was helpful. And it's like once you get to the end of that dream team list, then you can follow back up with a lot of those people. Maybe some of them told you not right now. Maybe some of them, are interested but haven't signed up yet. Constantly following up with them. And then making a new dream team list, like adding to your network and writing out another list. So I think there were 30 to 50 or so on the list. 50. Perfect. All right. Did you guys have any other questions for me about time management? Yeah, we definitely don't have time to go over the Bob stuff. We'll go over the Bob stuff next week. Okay. Last, I just want to end on optimism. So optimistic people respond positively to